Its popular Wild Lights Festival. The festival will now run through June 4th. It was originally scheduled to end later this month. Wild Lights features handcrafted and silk-covered flowers, animals, and illuminated archways. The zoo is also starting a Wild Lights photo contest on its Facebook page. A winner will be chosen each week, and each winner will get 4 tickets to the zoo.
Remembering Denny Crum. We have much more coverage of the Hall of Famer's legacy on and off the court.
And the U of L medical students who helped start the hospital's Future Healers program are graduating. How their work is expanding across the country. Next on the news at 5:30.
You're watching WLKY News.
But Coach Crum was one of us, and we knew he came from a winning program, and that's what we wanted to be. We wanted to be a winning program.
Right now at 5:30, our continued coverage of the legacy of Denny Crum. The Hall of Fame coach defined Louisville basketball and changed the lives of his players on and off the court. Coach Crum passed away today at the age of 86.
He coached for 30 years and is credited with putting U of L basketball on the map, and his legacy is all around the city. Denny Crum came to Louisville in 1971 after serving as an assistant coach under legendary coach John Wooden at UCLA. He quickly found success at U of L, taking the Cardinals to the first of 6 Final Fours in his first season. Only 5 coaches have coached more Final Four teams. Coach Crum guided the Cardinals to national championships in 1980, 1986, making him one of only 14 coaches in NCAA history to win 2 or more titles. He won 675 games during his tenure, leading some of the greatest players in the program's history, including Darrell Griffith, Rodney McRae, and Purvis Ellison. He was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame 29 years ago to this day. Crum retired after the 2000-2001 season, but continued to work as a special assistant at U of L for several years, and his lasting legacy can be seen all around campus. The court at the KFC Yum Center has been named in his honor, and the school recently named a new residence hall after him. And we sat down with former players of Coach Crum who talked about not just the legacy he left on the court, but the lasting impact he made in their lives.
Many ended up staying in Louisville because of Coach Crum.
And I think one thing that stands out with him also is the fact that the players who actually came from other states stayed here, not only because of the university, not because of the school, but because of him as well. He has grown to be a friend and a father figure to a lot of us. It's kind of funny, we have a couple teammates that will go see him a little bit more than others, and we will commonly say, hey, how's Dad doing, to them, because we know what kind of relationship they have with one another. He's invited me to go on fishing trips with him at times, go hunting and do some other things, and without a doubt, he was one of the reasons why not only I came here, but he's the reason why I stayed.
I learned a lot from him. I even thought about getting into coaching, okay? And you know what he told me? He goes, are you crazy, Raj? That's what he said. Are you crazy? I said, what do you mean, Coach? He said, dude, once you graduate from here, you need to stay here in Louisville. That's what he said. You need to stay here in Louisville. He said, you know, the people here love, you know, this university. They love what we're doing, and they love you. And he said, why would you want to leave that?
And it wasn't just players. Coach Crum had a major impact on plenty of other people as well.
That includes analyst Bob Valvano, who had a front row seat of the Hall of Famer's career. Sports director Fred Calgill talked to him about the coach's legacy.
Never confuse what you do with who you are. And you find out who he really was. Because at that point now, there's no vested, you know, he has no ulterior motive. He's retired. He's out of it. And you see, he's still going to charity things in the community. He's still going. He's not trying to win goodwill so that you'll support his team. He doesn't have a team anymore. He's Denny Crum.
Bob Valvano had a unique seat for the Denny Crum era. He's a longtime analyst on U of L basketball radio broadcasts, as well as being a national analyst for ESPN and hosting a local show on ESPN Radio. He also has a unique perspective on Crum and his impact on this community and the sport. Valvano's a former head coach himself at Bellarmine, and his brother Jim Valvano coached against Crum. Bob Valvano says one of Crum's secrets was understanding that sports are a noble and honorable distraction from life's brutal realities. So while Crum wanted to win at everything, Valvano says Denny never forgot there were bigger issues outside the lines.
He was as competitive as they come. In charity golf tournaments, in our bocce tournament, I mean, he wanted to win. But he was always so good once the event was over and understanding there's a big world out there and where do I fit in? And I think that's just the greatest message.
Valvano says as much as Crum was a Hall of Fame coach, he was a better teacher, not just about the game, but about the life lessons that come from it. The equity of the experience of being around Crum for years as a peer and broadcaster had a profound impact on Valvano, and it left a long, lasting impression on him.
He rose above it all. It was like, you know, I am who I am, and I'm not going to be taken away from that just because there's some people that are, for whatever reason, have their own motives to try and denigrate me or something. He was just, you know, he was Denny Crum, and I loved the man.